Done.
Thank you. And let me know if you can see my screen with the meeting notes.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome everyone on the next Kyma working group Pro Migration. And today I'm your host, and Sulaiman will take notes. Agenda for this meeting is quite simple. At the beginning, I will give you status update, and I would like to present next priorities. And later, Tomek Smelter provide more details about GKE cluster integration job. And let's have a look on our board. So since Monday, we moved 3 issues to accept column. First one is about problems with the integration test. So after running our integration tests for a week or two, we got following error: logging profile size exceeded 32 kilobytes. So the reason was following. We use one service account for provisioning a virtual machine to run our tests, and that service account stores public keys for these short-lived virtual machines, and its profile grows, and at some point it was too big to provision next virtual machine. So our fix was quite simple. We defined a periodic job which is run every day from Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and we just perform some cleanup. And next issue was done by Sulaiman. So he made some refactoring regarding Kyma integration job. So first of all, you can see that we integration job is currently inside the jobs directory. It is in the Kyma integration file. Additionally, Sulaiman moved some scripts which are strictly related to Kyma to the Kyma repository. And we have also one bug which is already fixed. In the review column, there is a issue about proposal for release process. Since last meeting, I let's say productize scripts, so it's not only proposal, but it will be just after merging that pull request, it will be just a working solution. So with the reviewers, we already agreed with general ideas, and now we are only discussing details. And Michał today moved to the review column to issue about running static analytics for our shell scripts. So because we have more and more shell scripts, we need to have something to check its quality. And here maybe I would add one comment, because as you probably remember, on one of the previous meeting, we decided to use Go language as our primary tool. So please keep that in mind, and if it requires some more sophisticated logic, please use Go instead of Bash scripts. And we have some issues also in progress column, and in the to-do column, we have all issues at the top with the highest priority. And now I would like to show you what are our next goal. Can you see my presentation? I see that you're nodding, so yes. So our short-term goal is to enable teams to migrate their components. So what we need to do, I found four tasks which needs to be done before that. So first of all, we have at least one working example, and it can be UAP layer component, but we need to finish 2 issues. First one is this proposal for release process, because in that proposal we define job which will be run for releases of that component. And we also need to define post-submit job for UI AP layer, but it will be easy peasy task, so it will be quite fast done. Next, we need to provide documentation to the people which explain how to migrate the components step by step. So we have an issue for that. I just move it from the to-do column to in progress, and I assigned myself to do that. And next one, we need to define jobs for the test infra repository. So whenever anyone provide any changes for the jobs definition, it should be validated by our continuous integration server. And the last point is defining branch protections, because right now Pro can send checks to the GitHub, but they are not marked as required. So still you can merge your pull request even if that checks are failing. So currently we found these 4 topics that need to be addressed before we ask teams to migrate the component. And also, we do not want to start the migrations all teams at the same time. So probably we will do it one team and then next team. So we do not want to, I don't know, solve the same problems or block all the teams at the same time. So do you have any questions to what I presented? So to our next goal or to the status of our current work?
I would have only one question about this suggestion that we should use Golang for our logic. I wasn't there when it was discussed, so that's my question. That's where my question come from. I mean, how to judge this thing, where bash script is still okay, and when should we use Go? Should this be discussed before raising pull requests somehow? I would say that bash scripts can be quite non-trivial and still be kind of valid, from the engineering point of view, because investment in compiled binary probably only pays off when it's heavily reusable, like we are doing just general purpose tool, for example, that will be reused. Otherwise, this investment is not clear to me. Yes.
I think it do not have to be all the time the binary. We can use a go run command and execute your Go application. And to be honest, I would choose tool on the basis what is simpler. So if I have good SDK, for example, for G-Cloud, I would prefer to use Go application, because I can test it, and in case of shell scripts, it's more difficult. So that might answer. So what is simpler to you? So if there is only one liner or 2 lines which makes execute some other tool, and it is difficult to port it to Go, I think it does not make sense to rewrite it to Go, but otherwise we should use.
Okay, so we will try to use the Go run, yes, approach. Okay, that's one answer. It still means it will be compiled during every execution of the job. Yes, I believe, as far as I know, it still is compiled in the background. Yeah, but perhaps
Yes.
for small files, it does not matter that much. Okay. Okay, good. We'll come back for sure to this question sooner or later. So then we need more use cases, yes, to be able to somehow find the good balance, yes, between using bash scripts and Go, perhaps. Thanks.
So thank you for the question. So anyone else? If now we are moving to the next point in our agenda, which will be presented by Tomek. Tomek, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Should I share my screen? But I don't know if that's necessary. Okay, so I would like to, perhaps I can share my screen. How can I do that? Desktop one, it's this one. No, not this one.
You can see test infra repository and view with pull requests.
Okay, so that's the one. Okay, so the status about our integration job. Unfortunately, we didn't proceed quite as we planned, but it was due to the events that we couldn't really foresee, so to speak. Mainly, Magda is heavily involved in the release process, so she is actually for the third day actually out of the any job in any activities related to Prow. And Jakub was also had to take an extra day, which was unplanned. So we were very short on resources actually. But the status is as follows. At least we don't have blockers. We still have some pull requests that requires review. These are very small, like release IP address from GCP. This is just very tiny script. So that shouldn't take too much. I expect that today it will be merged because it's really hard to, yeah, find anything wrong in such a small thing. These are two small scripts that will be used in a main script for the pipeline, which is this one. It's still a VIP, so you can start looking at it, but just don't pay too much attention to the details, because it will be polished and smooth until I will remove VIP label. What essentially does this script? It is provisioning and deprovisioning all external resources, and we want to merge it as it is. So this is an important step. So we know that we can run it. It will reserve IP address, create DNS entry, of course, wait appropriate time for all those things to be available, then provision the cluster, and then deprovision those things so that we are sure there are no leftovers, there are no garbage. It's safe to use. Yeah. So that's our purpose for today. And yeah, to make this pull request to be merged so that we can properly test it. Yeah, and the next step that will continue next week from Tuesday, because unfortunately Monday is free at Poland, will be to just add one tiny step with Kyma installation, because we should have everything ready. I mean, all the values should be there, DNS, IP. All that's left is to actually install Kyma on that. And with that said, we plan to finish the entire pipeline, if nothing wrong will happen again, somewhere around Wednesday next week. Thank you. That's the status. Are there any questions to that?
I have a question. So this script is only to be executed on a pull request. So cluster is provisioned, tests are run, and then it's deprovisioned.
Yes, right now, yes. We want to have this. Right now, yes. You can see here in the names, for example, it's PR-something something. There will be a similar pipeline for the commits merge to master, and it will generally use the same logic, but of course names will be different there because we will not have any PRs then. And then once this is ready, we plan to prepare another one and find common places, yes, make it generic, and then make two jobs out of this new one for pull requests, the other one for the post submits on master. But for now, we are focusing only on pull requests, yes.
And this will be done in the next issue or in the same one. So I mean
in the next issue.
Okay.
We don't want to prolong this. It's already too open too long. We just
Okay.
want to do it, close it, and then start continue with another one.
Okay. Are
Okay,
there any other questions to Tomek?
Maybe just back to your Go question. I mean, that's script looks already quite complex, and if you want to test it and keep it maintainable by having better structure, it's indeed maybe good to go into the Go direction.
Okay.
Oh,
well, that's one suggestion.
As I mean, there are also quite a lot of scripts, right? It's not just.
Yes, mainly the scripts to provision the provision resources. Yes, it's invoking them. So it's kind of like orchestrator that does everything in order, kind of. Okay, so yeah, you're free to add a comment on the pull request. We can think about it, but
I'm
this will
not saying
make
that you
it
should do it
stronger.
now. Yeah, but just think of having really just a library with all that sub commands and then that orchestrating command, and using then this in a kind of build pack. No, just as an idea.
Okay, so I have a, let's say, follow-up question. Soon we will start to integrate, let's say, existing scripts from Kyma repository, like setting up a cluster with overrides and installing Kyma itself and testing and so on and so on. Would you suggest that we should somehow think about rewriting those to Go language as well?
I think for Kyma itself, it's even more important because here we also want to have supportability. Currently, we are duplicating the scripts to have Windows support. So I think here it's really valuable to have it. And so I always plan to also have a CLI, a command line interface, really wrapping that Go command then into a nice user interface, even maybe just to assure really that whole testability, maintainability, portability.
But on the other hand, if we are only using CLI tools, is it really so important for us to have it wrapped in Golang application?
Yeah, but this is the CLI is just calling that Go commands, that binaries, or have it included as a library even.
Okay.
No, I don't get what you mean.
Yeah, because most of our provisioning script is
Based on the existing scripts.
It's something like calling gcloud tool, right? So we are saying that sooner or later, let's say we will have a CLI tool for setting up for installing Kyma. Does it make sense to wrap that in Go application? You know what I mean? From my point of view, it is easier to have a SH script, which is just calling gcloud or kubectl or Kyma CLI.
If they're really simple, yes, why not? But
because from my point of view, most complicated scripts are those in Kyma. But let's see what happens.
yeah.
If
Okay,
we will see that SH is getting too complicated, we can of course do POC on that and see how it goes, how it feels, how it's maintained, and so on. Definitely.
This Adam said, right? It depends on the case. For example, I'm working on the validation of config files, and for me, it's easier to write the validator in Go than create validator in Bash script, right? In your case, you just call the kubectl and gcloud, and it's easier to create in Bash. So every case is different, and we don't force using Golang. It depends what is easier to use.
Yeah, just don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm big fan of bash scripts.
But in your case, it is easier to use, right? Because you just call the tools.
Yep.
Okay, guys. So just to finalize that, I would personally prefer to stay with the bash script for this pull request. And if we find this case, for example, to be a good candidate to do a kind of POC or maybe just try, just to provide alternate version in Go and then compare them. Yes, that it's not. I'm not objecting this idea. Perhaps it's a good idea. Maybe it will turn out that the Go code will be simpler than Bash code. For example, for sure, finally close or you know this thing that always must happen regardless of any exceptions or errors is kind of cryptic in Bash. Indeed, I agree. Perhaps it's more clear in Go. So perhaps the Go version would be better, but we should. I would say personally that we should finish that and then maybe provide Go version and then compare. And this is something we can do in the near future. That's just my opinion on this topic. And then try to see which version is better, which is, yeah, perhaps it will turn out that for this particular case, indeed, Go is a better choice, perhaps not. It's hard to tell just without comparing them.
I agree that you should finish that pull request as it is to have just things finished.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. So Tomasz' presentation was last point in our agenda, but do you have any topics you want to raise right now? If not, I would like to remind you that we have meetings on Tuesday and Thursday for the active contributors at 10 a.m. and our next regular meeting will be on the next Friday at 1 p.m. So if there is no more topics, thank you for today's meetings and see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.